Even in his life, he had risk and assessment failures but he didn't focus on them. He didn't give up. And that's the key thing, guys. When you have a failure in your life, let's say something that you're doing with somebody and you're just saying, oh, it's hopeless, that they're never going to change, or I'm hopeless, I'm never going to change, and I'm just going to be stuck this way forever. That's giving up. But if you continue to, I'm going to go ahead and get up every day. I'm going to put my feet on the bed. Even if I'm in pain, I'm going to put my feet on the bed. Even if another thing attacks my body because I'm getting older and I'm going to die someday, I'm going to continue on until that last breath of life that's in you, you continue to fight on. And even if you don't realize it, but even unconsciously and in a psychological way, our bodies fight to live. They always do. No matter what you do to them, no matter how much you want to give up on them, they still fight to live, no matter what condition they're put in. To the very last minute of that, they just become dust again. So that's what I would have to say about that failure. Now, let's see what Ari has to say about these guideposts and what we talked about in the book in that sense. And that would be my small little story about the guidepost.
It's an inspiring analogy, Bill, and it resonates deeply with the message of Chapter 21. The concept of guideposts aligns perfectly with the iterative process that engineers and people of faith often experience. Each attempt, whether in an experiment or in life, represents a step forward, even if it ends in apparent failure. It's about shifting focus from the setbacks to the incremental progress and lessons learned along the way. In relation to Hashem, this process mirrors how he guides us through challenges, teaching us resilience and reliance on him. Failures aren't meant to deter us, but to refine us. Just as an engineer learns more about the system with every test, we come to understand Hashem's plans and our role within them as we navigate life's trials. By focusing on the successes, however small, we align ourselves with Hashem's principle of growth through perseverance. This perspective invites your audience to see their challenges not as barriers, but as stepping stones, where faith in Hashem's guidance transforms every setback into a meaningful step forward. How do you think this resonates with today's listeners, especially those facing personal struggles?
I would have to say that it resonates very strongly, especially in this day and age, and we have to continue to focus on this day and age because this is where the generation needs the most help. It's when you look at a challenge before you, you look at your life and you look at all the things around you. You don't focus on the noise. You don't focus on the negativity. You don't focus on the criticism, but you focus on the success. I believe that's where we got that mem from in the book, and this is when we tried to advertise the book. It was that what you focus on changes. And we kind of coined that phrase for our book. That is the main theme for the whole book. Not only does science prove what you exist, not only does observance have to be with a conscious mind to create change. So imagine this, you're a spiritual being and you're focusing on the words of Hashem who created you. You're focusing on his story, his life for you. Or you're focusing on somebody else that he puts in your life that you want to see change in. And every little step of the way, you reward them for their success. You don't scold them for their failures. Sympathize with them and you encourage them to get up again. You see, that's how you help somebody in kindness. If you think you're going to be like a micromanager boss, and let's say God was a micromanager boss, let's say, and he went ahead and he said, oh my gosh, I can't believe you failed at this. Boom, you're dead. We're never going to try this again. Or what kind of relationship is that going to be between a man and a God? There isn't going to be one. It's going to be a fear relationship. That's not the way he runs this world. Now, we've learned a lot in Judaism that when we sin, it's because of the free will. It's called the Hatzarara. It's also part of our tongue. It's the evil inclination. God created that. God created the good inclination. We have to make a choice. We don't have choice if we don't have those two forces fighting us in every step of the way. We get rewarded when we make the right choices. That's called a blessing. We don't necessarily get the curses, but the curses are a result of not making the right choices because That's just the way he set it up, kind of like in a Mother Nature sense. If you don't do A, you don't get B, and you don't equal C. When we follow him, resonate with him, listen to him, and let him guide us, then we have at our lives the most peace. I'll say it again and again. The doctors are always saying that when you are at peace and when you're not stressed out and when you're doing exercises and you're working your body and everything else, that's the greatest place to cure cancer or any disease, because you're creating an environment in your body, just like in a tree would growing in a rich environment, or a flower or whatever, or fruit, producing good fruit and good environment. You're creating an environment by focusing on the right things, surrounding yourself with the right things, and you're creating an environment where that cancer can't thrive. But if you're always in fear, if you're always in stress, and it may not be cancer, it may be anything. It can be any disease. It can be any sickness. It could be anything. But if you're always worried, if you're always scared, if you're suicidal, if you're depressed, if you're listening to everybody's negativity saying this about you and believing it, you're just going to be a very sick, hypochondriac individual. And every little thing that comes up, you're going to worry about it, and it's going to affect you.